So I had a couple changes, but if the other people want to offer their corrections, looks like you have a couple.
Well, yeah, I don't, under item two, the first sentence, I think we need to kind of redo something.
Yeah, I had trouble, I was trying to, be diplomatic with,
Well, we could say Tim Cook stated that he did not believe that the ZBA should not have,
Should have granted a
Should-
variance.
should not have granted variance.
No, you did
You
not
did
believe
not
that they
believe-
should have.
that they
Right.
should have.
Right, that, yes, exactly,
So take out the two.
yeah. And then TBS LCC, the correct, what is the correct decision? I'm not sure what did that mean, David?
basically saying granting the decision, that you didn't believe that, we can take out what's the correct decision. I was trying to say, you didn't believe that granting the variance was the correct decision. And I think I went through and reworded it a couple of times, and I may have, I think probably just put a period after LLC and get rid of the correct decision.
Yeah,
Like I said, I had
Yeah,
for some
Yeah,
reason, these minutes just did not want to come together, and
yeah, no, that's fine,
I reworded stuff over and over again.
no, that's fine.
For some reason, my search function's not working.
Okay, and then. One other thing, I had just a typo, item three, second line from the end, in regards to the skiway operation and changes to the, I think we just. put
to
lodge.
the lodge, yeah.
Yeah. And then. I just had a question too, when we talk about the board discussed the response from Mr. Adamczyk.
Oh, then that should be a period after that.
Yeah, but then, do we want to say anything about the fact that the select board kind of took over? I mean, because initially we were gonna do it, and then it was kind of decided, I think, that the planning board was out of it, because the select board just took it over. Which was fine, but,
Well, they didn't really take it over, they just, I think,
Maybe we should just say the board discussed the response from Mr. How is
I
it?
have no idea how to pronounce his name.
Adamczyk,
Adamczyk.
that was like, yeah.
And then maybe a new sentence that it was noted the select board
Would
Had
be
acted
would be
on
working-
this,
or
or
working-
had it made a decision on this issue without benefit of any comment from the planning board.
Yeah, or,
well, yeah, but I think also it's the select board is satisfied with the progress or something is,
But they actually approved it, right?
No, there was no,
Took no action. They decided not to intervene.
yeah,
What were they supposed to intervene on?
well, all the stuff that.
All-
Granting of a liquor
All the,
license?
all the changes that were
well, no,
proposed, yeah.
it would still go through the planning board, they have no authority to approve. But they can comment on a liquor license, and that's the only thing that they can do.
So that was what they asked us to
That's why-
comment on.
Well, that's why they asked to do a site plan review. But after the board, I think they prematurely asked the planning board to do so before they had a meeting and found that, they were not intending on going any further than, with hours for the skiway,
Well, and then the guardrail. Right,
well, that was another issue that, a separate issue.
I was gonna ask David Coniff if he was here tonight about that, because I remember at the meeting. The initial meeting, we talked about the guardrail and we were saying, well. The town of Lyme certainly shouldn't pay for that because it's part of the skiway thing, And then I heard.
Too late.
Grapevine,
It's done.
and how can the town pay for that? I mean,
Because
that's
it's on
just,
town property.
well, yeah, but it's caused by the skiway. I mean, it's something the town would do except for the skiway.
well, town staff decided to pay for it and
Yeah, well, that should be.
didn't wanna push the skiway is kind of my.
Okay, that's gonna be on the.
I agree.
We should.
As a voter,
That's
you
not
feel
really-
free to talk to, but it's not part of the planning board's preview,
No, No,
The
but
town decided that they needed a guardrail there for safety reasons and they put one in.
Right.
That's the bottom line.
Exactly.
but in my mind, it's crazy that the town pays for it. That's ridiculous.
Right, well, here or there, it doesn't matter.
Right.
As a voter, you know. you
Well, the
absolutely
select board
should-
made that decision, right, without, they just took the money out of somewhere. They didn't have a town vote for it.
Right, there's
No.
money that is in Scott's budget.
Oh, out of the highway department?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's still our money. I mean, it's still coming out of our pockets.
Oh, yeah,
So-
but I mean, these are decisions that's
That's
in
why you
their
elect them
wheelhouse,
to-
it's not in
Yeah.
ours.
So what decision did David inform us of? Then what exactly did he inform us of?
Basically, I think Judy jumped the gun on wanting the planning board to get involved. And then they had a couple of meetings with the skiway, realized that they were not making large plans to, you know, add night skiing, to have a bar that's open 24/7, or, you know, not 24, but open to the public.
The
Um,
topless bar, yeah.
Right, it's just, they'll be serving beer and wine at the skiway, which
During normal.
during
ski
normal
hours.
skiing, which is, you know, common for pretty much every ski area in New England.
So, but what decision did David inform us of?
There was no decision.
Well,
It was just
No,
that
it
they,
seemed like there was.
He did
I-
say that
I-
the select board decided there was nothing needed to be done,
Or it,
Okay.
having
But it was
referred it
not-
to us for
So they
consideration.
referred it to us for consideration and then decided that there was nothing that needed to be done and that our need to consider this was therefore
Moot,
moot.
Yeah.
but they didn't tell us.
Well, they did eventually,
I think David said something at the meeting.
but I think
At the meeting,
probably you
but he-
need to recount the history of what happened in the minutes so that it's clear that we did not default
Drop the ball.
on our obligation to provide them with a site plan review. Because we have it logged in that they requested a site plan
Yep.
review. And so I think that we need to actually describe that. I don't think we did anything. I don't think anything else has to be done. We just have to document what happened.
Well, we got a letter back from the skiway.
The letter, that was the letter we had requested.
Exactly.
Right.
So we
As
took,
part of the site
took
plan
action,
review. So
and
we
we-
did, exactly, we took action.
yeah,
And so I guess what we were really saying is that having begun the process and then being told that no action was required in the opinion of the select board, we aborted
right.
Well, I also
our
think it's-
process.
not just
Yeah.
on the word of the select board, but, after looking at his letter, the board also realized that they felt there was no need. You know, it's not just the,
Right.
Well, we can include that, but the letter was not necessarily covering all the possible questions, was it?
Well, I think it pretty much
Yeah.
addressed the questions that we had, yeah.
All right, then,
Parking. Yeah, the
then-
parking.
did we complete a site plan review
No.
just by getting a letter?
No,
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 we
didn't.
so we
The board did.
still aborted the process. We weren't supposed to decide if a site plan review should be done. We were supposed to decide. We were
No, no,
supposed to do a site plan
no,
review.
Judy asked the board to look into, she did not ask the board, did not task the board with doing a site plan review. They said, here's, we want you.
decide if one's necessary.
Yeah,
Yeah.
at that one meeting that Judy was here.
Yeah, we wanted the decision to be, the board to decide whether one was needed.
But it wasn't good form of the
All
select
right,
board
then
not to
that,
tell us
then
to
that's what
stop.
we need to decide. And in the end, we should say after we reviewed the letter, we decided one was not necessary.
That's what I thought.
Okay.
That's
But-
what I thought was written.
Okay,
But
sorry,
it,
sorry.
I don't-
guess
So
I
the
just
board
didn't
discussed the
understand.
response, maybe we should say the response letter from Mr. Adamsick.
It was determined
that
from
a
his
site-
letter, maybe. It was determined from his letter that a site plan review is not required.
one way or the other, yeah. 'Cause
Yeah, so maybe we don't have to say anything about the select board. I mean. Yeah,
well, it was a little lax on
But I
the
mean,
part not to cover.
yeah. But in the minutes, we might not have to do it.
Communicate with us.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess the only thing we need to say then is that, based on the letter, we did not do a site plan review with them,
So, yeah, why don't we say that based on,
the response.
based on the letter or response letter from Mr. Adam Sick, it was determined that a site plan review was not required at this time.
Right.
And if things change in the future, that it could be opened up again at
Oh,
some
absolutely.
point. This doesn't preclude that.
No, it doesn't change the, the board has the right to ask for a site plan review for any change.
Right. Yeah, well, my understanding is it costs $45,000 for that guardrail.
Well, you
It's
need to
crazy.
get, you need
I
to talk to
will.
your highway superintendent then.
Scott, well, no, the select board.
Or your select board.
Yeah, I'll talk to
Yeah.
the select. board. I mean, it is probably too late, but it's crazy. Why wouldn't they make the college pay for it? Anyway,
Seems like, yeah, there's some big pockets that could have put that in.
well, yeah.
But
I'm not quite, there
It's
there may
not
have
our
been
job.
some deal struck also that they
Yeah.
may cover some of the, I don't know the,
yeah,
Yeah, I'll ask Judy.
but
I know people are complaining, or at least I heard through the grapevine, because it blocks off the entrance to the parking lot.
which is what it should be doing.
Yeah, there's only one entrance to the parking lot now. People were screaming about that.
And
Where-
that's
I
exactly
mean,
what.
there's an entrance up by the lodge,
And then there's one, I think.
and then there's
down-
an exit. Is that, I haven't been up there.
Yeah, I
I
think
haven't
there's-
been either, but it's my understanding that this. where
I
the
think there were
guardrail-
two ways to get into the parking lot, and now there's only one.
Yeah, which is exactly what it,
well, they're not gonna go in and out the same place, are they? They're probably gonna come out
Yeah,
down by the lower.
In by the lodge and out down the lower.
Well, I think they
Yeah.
blocked the lower. My understanding was that's where.
I
the
don't know how
guardrail
they
is.
could, cause you, yeah,
Anyway, we'll have to go up there. I don't.
anyway.
well,
Yeah.
they're gonna have to learn to park differently because
Oh,
there's
yeah.
only one.
Right, and that's.
And that's gonna be a problem for some of them because they've
Oh, yeah.
been doing, they've been parking there for 25 years.
Yeah.
Well, in the past, there used to be parking.
it's hard to break habits.
Well, that's again, that's why, they had to put the guardrail there because people would
Oh, yeah.
park, creep out into the road, park
Exactly.
in the road, they couldn't plow, they couldn't, emergency vehicles couldn't get
Oh,
by.
yeah, I mean, I remember, I get ticked off when I have to stop when you're coming down PhD and then, you wanna cross the road, cause you used to be able to just ski right across the
I
road.
know.
Get hit by a car, yeah.
Now, doggone it, even if you wanna ruin your skis, you really can't do that.
I don't know why they never just did a nice,
Where their kids
You
used to
can
jump
still
the road.
slog
Yeah.
across in your skis.
What's
Can-
that?
Can you not? You can still slog
Well-
across if they.
Well, yeah, if
Just
it's,
above the
if
rocks.
it's snow, but, they're doing a pretty good job of the roads now too.
I think the big issue is that the parking lot is not quite big enough when they have the meets and stuff.
Yeah.
The parking
so
lot's
that
big
is-
enough if it was striped. The problem is people park all higgledy-piggledy and it
Well, that's
gets,
because it's all dirt.
and that's what people park higgledy-piggledy
Yeah,
and reduce it
well,
by
and
I
about
that's-
remember
yeah,
at 48 maybe at our meeting, we talked about having valet, or having somebody there
direct parking.
from the college that would direct parking on the days when they have those huge.
They don't have the staff for it anymore.
yeah, that's the problem, they don't have people that can do that.
I mean,
anymore.
it's
Well, one of the
self-check-in to buy a
professors can do
ticket these days.
Which is
Oh,
means
is
they
it?
can also oversell the parking.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, see,
You know-
that's the real problem, because then people start parking on the road, they park everywhere. So,
And
yeah, even with the
especially when Sean
guardrail,
starts
what are they
towing
gonna do?
cars that park on the road. And you get back and find your.
then there'll be some very angry Dartmouth alums.
yeah, but see, that doesn't solve the problem, though. That's the.
Oh, it will solve the problem because people will learn very quickly.
No, but I mean, if there's no room in the parking lot, if it's totally full, then people are
Then
gonna park
you don't
wherever.
go skiing.
You
Yeah,
do,
right.
well, no, but that's how other
But they're
areas are
trying to get
dealing with
Dartmouth
it,
to bus people in.
yeah.
Yeah, that would be the
Dartmouth will
solution.
figure it out.
Yeah, that's. But,
Yeah, anyway,
they were not, they were asked on several occasions to take care of the issue. They did not, and so the town had to step in and,
then we shouldn't have paid for it.
again, I can't, speak to that, but that's. please feel free to speak to the
Yeah.
select board members there. That's what they're there for.
I will, for
How
sure.
about if we get to the second page of the minutes?
Yeah, let's.
Um, I noticed on the second sentence, he, capital D, discovered, maybe make that a small d. And then at the end of that sentence, had recently maybe undertaken rather than undertook.
Yeah, that's what I.
And then the next sentence, he had, maybe just say Nat provided several documents.
Where's that? Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, all right.
I always get lost in the he's when you,
Yeah, that's a good point.
and that was all I had. Does anybody else
That's
have
all I
anything? Well, I'll accept the motion to
I move that we accept the minutes as amended.
second. From Nat. All those in favor, say aye. Aye.
Are you gonna appoint me?
Yes, you're appointed.
Okay, then I'll vote aye.
Thank you.
Except you were absent, Hebe.
It doesn't matter.
That's true.
Oh,
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't
No, I'm
matter.
just kidding. Well, no, well, it sort of does. If
she
you're not-
shouldn't be, yeah.
you
We
can't-
don't
if
need
you're
your,
not-
we don't need the vote, so, yeah.
But technically, if you're not there, then people always abstain because they weren't at the meeting and they don't vote.
Yeah,
No big deal.
okay. So next item, housing forum discussions and planning, so. We had a bunch of small assignments to contact. Folks and. I need to refresh my memory. I know Nat was gonna talk to Sandwich.
Yeah, I emailed them, finally got a response on Monday saying that it was presented to the board on the 5th of September. I
Yeah.
guess that's their meeting day.
Yeah.
And so they may have had another one. And that it was brought up that it was a 2-hour drive from Sandwich, and therefore, would there
Well, thank
be a virtual connection
Oh,
possible? And I said, of course, we could do a Zoom. If there is a volunteer, please send me the name and an email address, and I will make the arrangements. And so they have not responded to that, even though I
Okay.
think they have had another meeting. That's only if it's every week. If it's every month, then
They have to meet by 2 times a month.
2 times a month.
Or well,
So-
I shouldn't say, I think,
I thought I read that you only have to meet.
yeah,
once a
no, I
month.
think you're right. I was, for some reason, I think it was twice, but yeah, they have to meet at least once a month.
Yeah, so who knows when they'll meet, and, I mean, she could send out an email to them, but I don't know. She's their administrator, but I'm not sure she's the zoning administrator. I think she just may be in charge of,
She's like Dina. Probably.
Or it could be like Vicky, Vicky was in charge of the planning, administrator of planning in Hanover. Judy was the zoning administrator and dealt with the zoning board, so sometimes the job is separate.
Mhm.
And sometimes you're lucky like me and get both of them.
So I have not heard from them.
Okay,
As soon as I do, I'll probably call you and ask which day would be preferable unless they have a preference. And if they have a preference, they'll probably just
Yeah.
accept it,
Yeah.
and then we'll try and deal with it.
Yeah.
can we, are they fully computer, presentation?
No, this is
Up
the
at
only
the
room where
academy?
we have a large. There's internet there, I can bring the owl. But we're not gonna have be able to have a screen like that
Anywhere but here.
anywhere but here.
That's too bad.
Oh,
That's why I asked
where were we gonna have it?
at the academy building. There's a large room upstairs that,
They don't have a screen there?
nope, they don't.
Thought I saw one. that they could pull
You mean
that.
like a
I mean,
regular?
they
have
could
a
we do
screen.
the old fashioned
They don't have this.
screen, computer's projector?
I don't have a projector.
Somebody in town must
Yeah, they
have.
have a screen up there, but they don't have, yeah,
So
just a regular
are
screen.
you thinking
which you
that
put-
it would be more people than would fit in this room would actually show up?
Well, we were thinking big time,
I don't know, we could
Are
fit a
you
lot
This
of,
serving-
is pressing,
Are you serving dinner?
Yeah,
a lot of people can fit in here though. if you really
Yeah.
Put a lot of.
Yeah, you could get 30
We could
people in
get-
here.
yeah, 20 or 30 in here.
Um,
Yeah, maybe if oath presentations, I think you're gonna tell us that,
Jonah.
Jonah would
Yeah,
like to
I
do it by
emailed
Zoom.
Jonah back and forth. He's available either the 10th or the 24th. And he asked whether we had Zoom capability. And then I asked David and he said, and thought, sure. So I told Jonah, I should have clarified, he never said he wanted to do it by Zoom. He just asked if we had Zoom capability. So I'm assuming that he'll be here, but I should
You
double
should
check.
make sure that that's true.
Yeah, because these kids like to use media. I mean,
Yeah, that's true. He might.
But it really
some stuff.
cuts down the quality of the.
oh, I
interaction.
know, I know. But if we get a date for him, then I can tell him and at the same time say, we'd really like you to come.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I mean, he's isn't that far away. Well, he's in Bradford, I guess.
I guess without having the other two. It's kind of hard to,
yeah, because Vicky was getting in touch with the Regional Planning Commission.
Yep.
And Rich was gonna get in touch with Twin Pines. And I haven't heard from him or Vicky.
I haven't either.
Is it kosher or legal for members to contact me and say, yeah, I got in touch with so-and-so and they can.
Yeah,
make
that
a-
type of thing, yes. The reason we don't like to have people do that is, sometimes,
Conversations can stray.
and overflow, and it becomes
Yeah.
too easy to just.
Yeah.
Start asking questions and having a conversation about a case,
Yeah.
and that's
They
where,
can tell you, but you can't reply.
Yeah,
yeah, so, we discourage just because we don't want it to become a habit.
yeah,
As chairman, if you wanted to email Vicky and say, did you get hold of her? Or to them, what's up with this? Not a problem.
okay,
Just
good.
be
Then I
very
should have done
careful.
that, yeah.
And just also remember that any email that you use for communications, if for some reason somebody puts in a request for information, whether 99A or something, they can ask for all your emails.
All of the emails from my machine or?
Yes,
On the topic.
on a particular topic.
Oh,
So
on the top.
yeah, they can't go and say, well, we want every single email on your machine.
Yeah.
And we want your browsing history, and no, that,
Okay,
Yeah.
that's safe enough, but
okay. So we've got one more meeting
So
this
you-
month.
So it sounds like. What's his face?
Jonah.
Jonah is solidly willing to do it.
Either day, he said. was
The others are in the works, but do we have to have them all scheduled? Can't we, couldn't Jonah just come and run a presentation? And then on other days, on other meeting dates, we have the other ones?
well, what we don't know is, let's say that the regional planning commission says we can only do it on this date,
Okay. But,
then you,
okay,
we.
I think there was also some concern about burnout from the massive crowds that we're gonna be having on how many meetings they might be willing to attend. I personally think that especially some of these speakers, like the Regional Planning Commission, we could easily chew up an hour and a half with just that one person. I think there was some sense that maybe we should try to get two
Two at a
speakers in a meeting so we could do this in a couple meetings.
Yeah, we kind of decided we were gonna have two at one meeting.
Yeah,
I was sort of thinking that, as you said, I think that's gonna cut some people short, if there's two people
Yeah.
at one meeting.
well, I'm just thinking, we've been sort of messing around for a while. Why don't we just start with Jonah? And let the other pieces flow in, and if we have to
Yeah.
make different decisions, make them, but for now, go with what we've got and see how it goes. See if there are people who are interested, you know,
Yeah.
and, you know, I think multiple shorter meetings are better than a gargantuan,
Yeah,
you know, where people get
You know,
exhausted and bored and walk out.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
And you also,
agree.
To quote, comma.
No, I agree.
yeah, that's right. We gotta worry about our crowd size.
Yeah, bust people in, right?
We'll never beat Trump.
No.
You know, Obama's
I
gesture.
think we'll have them all the way out to the Washington Monument from here.
Yeah, yeah, I think Jonah's gonna talk about getting grant money in Vermont, because he only knows Vermont, so we'll see how much he can tell us.
but he did still, his process,
Yeah,
is,
And the community engagement piece. Because I think he's got community partnerships going on that, you know, how to
Yeah.
get the local
Yeah.
governments to be
well, and
interested.
he has his own construction company, well, he's not his own, but he's part of it,
Right,
so they are building their own stuff. Yeah.
we should, I mean, it would be nice to do it and, you know, give a couple weeks notice of the invitation to the Lyme people and then see if we can get some of the players in town. Get like somebody from the Lyme Foundation to come and listen to stuff about how it all goes together.
Mhm.
I mean, should we consider asking Ray Clark to talk about his experience?
Yeah. It's hard for Ray to come to meetings in the evening, but I think we could hopefully arrange it. Yes, Lynn could go up to his house, I think, while he was here, maybe.
I mean, he could do it virtually too.
Yeah.
I mean, it just would be interesting because he didn't really go the grant route.
No,
But he does know a lot about the barriers. And, you know,
he's got a lot of specific local knowledge.
right,
Yeah,
Has he,
well,
has he built anything more than just duplexes and stuff like that ever?
whatever.
it's, before this,
Yeah,
I was Ray's foreman for 16 years.
but I was under the impression that,
We built houses.
I was the
and we
impression that he
restored
built houses, but not multiple
No, this is the
multiple
first time
unit,
he's ever done it.
so.
We did restoration of historic houses, and we also built some new houses using old, duplicate. old
Yeah.
houses, yeah.
and then Brett Ryan has also sort of done it.
Yeah.
Brett's, I don't know what Brett's doing. He hasn't done much recently. I don't know what he's thinking, but
for how his health is holding out.
is that what it is? Cause there for a while, he was really active doing all this stuff, and all of a sudden he just kind of stopped, so,
I know he had, said it's some AFib going on,
really.
and that'll slow you down real fast, I guarantee you.
Yeah, I haven't talked to him in a while.
And,
But yeah, Ray would come, I mean, I guess I could say this. Ray's been talking to me a little bit about, he wants to do another project in town. At least he did a few weeks ago. Whether he's changed his mind now, I don't know.
What has he got in mind?
I don't know. He wanted to, I said, come to the planning board sometime and talk about it. So,
So that's remarkable because I sort of got the feeling that he just barely escaped with the shirt on his back from the last one.
well, I don't know. He got what? 2.8 million or something for that. I mean, I think he came out all right financially.
I don't know, there was a lot said that, I really couldn't charge less than 750,000 per year.
780,000.
780,000 per year.
So he got 4 of that. What's 4 times 780? That's
It's
3 million.
whatever.
like 3 million.
Yeah, so anyway, I think he came out okay.
if he's looking to do another project, I would assume he did.
Yeah, but he doesn't know what, really, I don't think.
So I guess, yeah, we've got kind of two housing issues. One is affordable housing and the other is just,
Or workforce housing, I think we've been calling it.
or workforce
Workforce
housing.
housing
Yeah.
is the,
And other housing.
Yeah,
And so, yeah,
So he'd be probably more on the other housing. Conventional housing, if you will, or,
like condos, you mean,
well, I mean. I don't think Ray does condos, so,
well, other than what he just did.
what, yeah,
But I think, well, I shouldn't say, because I don't know for sure, but I had the feeling that he wanted to do another sort of like condo project, not just build a house.
Hmm.
He wants to do something else for the town. I think he cares about doing something for the town.
yeah,
And he doesn't have to make money, which is nice. He can, if he breaks even, he's happy. So that kind of puts a whole different, you know.
Yeah.
I
So
know
it's nice.
I know the perfect project is just a big, complex problem.
Nancy,
Nancy,
you know, Ray's been talking there.
good, good. Nancy Grandin's house is solid foundation, solid roof.
mhm.
Obviously, you'd have to cut it, but it's a big footprint. And she owns the lot
She has a
directly
big
so.
parcel there, yeah,
And then the parsonage lot is the next one down. And their parsonage, you know, the finances of the church are struggling, so there's a possibility to really do
Yeah,
something interesting in that
Right.
area.
Mhm.
well, Ray has told me that he's talked to Nancy and this is a couple weeks ago, and he said he hasn't gotten very far.
No, nobody does.
So who knows?
I know.
well,
But-
uh,
But if we locked Jonah in and started the process, we could post, or Dave could post, and we could ask for RSVPs to see, gauge some level of interest or start a discussion. And it would be part of a follow-on to our posting, asking for interest in
yeah,
tweaking the zoning.
Well, I could talk to Jonah about the 10th.
yeah. I think we should,
if you talk to Jonah between now and the next meeting, and then,
Yeah, no, unfortunately, I'm not gonna be at the next meeting. My one trip for the year.
Well, maybe we should
Yeah.
go for the 24th then. You said the 24th? 10th or the 24th?
Yeah,
well, that's October.
that's October.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
our
I'll
next
be here
meeting
the 10th.
is the.
I'm only gonna be gone for
20th,
like 3 or 4 days,
26th,
but it
right?
happens to be right on the 26th.
Yeah, no, I was just thinking, if we lock in October 24th, and then we work on getting a mailing out on the listserv or whatever forum you choose to ask, you know, just, we've talked about, you know, the questions we want to ask about,
Mhm.
how do you feel about the zoning? And then gauge the interest on some presentations. By then, we might know more about the regional planning folks and Twin Pines and be able to be more concrete.
Yeah,
Well, I think we were hoping that we could do some of this as early as the 10th of October, so
Sure.
I'd suggest maybe the 10th.
Okay, I'm
Um,
just, you know, I'm just trying to get, things take time. And to be
Right.
successful, we haven't agreed on the language that you want to set out to the listserv yet. That seems,
when you
Right.
talk to Jonah, you know, next week or so. Let us know, or let me know. And then next meeting, the board can decide, you know, if it's a go, then it would still be 2 weeks out.
you mean to talk to Jonah about the 10th?
Right.
Because I mean, he said he was available.
Yeah,
Either
so
the 10th
confirm with him the 10th.
and then
That
that he would come.
come
Yeah.
here.
Okay.
So the issue is that our next meeting, I'm not here, you're not there. I understand Vicky's not gonna be there.
Well, then I re-raise my suggestion for the 24th.
Yeah, you're probably right, Edie. It's gonna be hard to do it. Yeah,
I don't mind giving space to things. I'd like just to have concrete.
It would be nice for us to have our ducks in a row.
okay, well, I'll talk to Jonah about the 24th then.
And then November. Um,
We probably only have one meeting that month.
well, actually, no, yeah, it'd be the 14th and the 28th, and 28th is Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving, yeah.
And I'm actually gonna be gone from the 16th, through the 20, third. I was gonna be gone the first week in November, but the FBI delayed my trip, but that's.
The FBI.
Yeah, they're watching you there.
No, it has nothing to do with me. It's,
I know your sister.
yeah, I'm going to go house sit for my sister because she had to go work with the FBI and they're behind, so her trip got pushed out 2 weeks, so
Right.
my trip gets pushed out. Which is, I was depressed because I wanted to be in DC on election night.
Oh,
And actually, I wanted to be in DC on the day after, so that no matter who's rioting, I could go down and join whichever group.
Take your AR-15.
He's on tape now.
yeah.
You think the FBI has been giving you a hard time before?
Yeah. Well, in the past, we have had meetings, special meetings other than the second and the third, or if it's second and fourth Thursday, if we want to.
Third Thursday is usually zoning board of adjustment in here, so,
Right.
and I'm busy on those nights.
Yeah, well, I'm
So,
just throwing that
yeah.
out. If we feel that we had, we just don't have enough meetings, we could
Yeah,
pick another date if we have to. Since we're all gonna be gone
Well,
on the
let's-
26th, or three of us are gonna be gone on the 26th, we could do it another. Maybe another night.
And the question is, if you're gonna be that many people gone on the 26th, do you still wanna? No,
Even have a meeting.
or is it going to be?
So maybe we should change that meeting to another day.
yeah, I mean, I'm back 3 days later, so I mean, I could meet on the third of the first Thursday of October. If people wanted to do that,
Yeah, so.
then we'd have
first and
two
second.
meetings in a row,
Yeah, we're missing the other one, so. Does that
or
work?
2 weeks in a row.
What is, what,
I was just thinking we'd meet, rather than the last Thursday of September, meet the first Thursday of
The
October,
third,
the third
Yeah, change the meeting.
and the 10th, maybe.
I don't see a problem on my schedule, but I'd have to check with my wife. I mean, that's the thing about, we have these things, we work around Thursdays
Yeah,
and,
it's hard enough
I
getting.
don't know
through
whether
three.
she's worked around, because she knows it's
The first
second
one.
and the fourth.
Yeah,
Right.
so,
Tell her every Thursday, work around every Thursday.
what's it look like for you, Hebe, on the
Fine.
third?
I could do the third. It's Rosh Hashanah.
Yeah, it is Rosh Hashanah.
My book doesn't, oh, yeah, it begins on the second.
No, it's good for me. It's fine.
So, I need to get in touch with Vicky and
Rich,
And Rich.
Brown gravy.
maybe David Kahn.
well, I was gonna get in touch with them regarding the speakers.
Oh, okay.
And
Yeah, I was thinking about changing the meeting.
then, do I want to get in touch with them about changing the meeting, or do you want to do that?
I will. Just out, if you decide tonight to change the meeting, I will just send out a notice to everyone saying. The meeting's been changed.
Okay, all right, twin bonds. Yeah. So, where does that put us? I think, as we were doing this, I asked David about some supplemental, if he had any ideas for supplemental information on housing. And so he sent me a couple links to some things, and so I spent part of yesterday and today looking at them, and I don't know if people have are signed up for these noon planning sessions. Are you getting those emails that the state puts?
DEA,
Yeah, and I think they call them plan or something as well. PLAN stands for something, but they actually had a really good series of them during sugaring season this year, which must be why I missed them.
Are they on YouTube? Are they on?
Yeah, they're on YouTube.
Okay, so you could watch them at your leisure.
Yeah, and David, maybe you could resend
Yeah,
those
I'll
those
send out the links
links.
tomorrow to
That'd be great.
everybody.
Yeah, that'd
Thank
be
you.
good.
But they had a series of 5 on the February 15th, the 22nd, the 29th, and then March 7th and 14th. They had webinars on housing issues. And they were quite good. They lasted for about an hour. And
did you go through all of them?
I looked at the slides on all of them, and I went back and listened to some of them. The last one is entitled Attracting Developers, and that one I found kind of interesting from the perspective of what are people actually doing on the ground. And you won't see any slides there because it was a roundtable discussion. So I didn't quite understand who all the speakers were, but at least one of them was a developer. And they all recognize that that there's no lack of interest in housing. And so one of the things that the developer in particular was saying is that, you really need to, if you want somebody to come in and do housing, you really have to advocate for it. And I think one of the things that kind of strikes me is, I'm not sure we want to open up the whole town to increase development, but my sense is there might be interest in some specific projects, and I don't know how one just targets one project. But they did talk about things like, well, if you've got the land, like you're going to give the land to the project, and you've got a group of people that want something to happen, then those are the communities that at least these speakers were more inclined to want
That's
to
what Hanover has
address.
done, and used town employees to do a lot of the site work.
Right. So
So you gotta start with a gift of land that's in the right spot as far as you're concerned.
well, at least
It
if you're
seems like
doing
it's a-
affordable housing.
Seems like it's a long shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason we have the Habitat for Humanity house is because Ray gave that lot to do it.
Oh, there's a habitat for humanity.
Yeah, yeah, we
right,
built
right
that
opposite Baracus.
right across, right behind that house that's right across the bracket.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Oh,
I
no
was,
kidding.
yeah, I was in between things. I just.
Wait, across the street from Baracus?
Yeah.
The house.
there's
in
a
the back,
yellow
the gray-
house right there, and then there's another house right behind
The
it.
gray house
Oh.
behind that, and Ray had bought that property. He donated that lot.
Oh,
And then they did it. Yeah, and I had a lot of time right then, so I worked on that. Ben Henze and I, probably built that house because
wow.
we were there all during the week. Then they
Wow.
get these kids to come on the weekends to do a bunch of stuff, and then we'd have to undo a lot of it in the week and fix it, and then. Anyway,
Mhm.
yeah,
But anyways, I thought I mentioned that those are some there's some interesting slides or webinars if you can stand to listen through the whole.
What, are they on a website or are they on YouTube?
They're on YouTube.
Cause
There's-
if, I have a note for you, if you go into YouTube, you can put the playback speed at 1.5 to 1.75. And it goes zipping by and it's
Oh, wow.
still completely coherent and not weird.
They just sound like Mickey Mouse.
No, they don't.
Oh, they
No, it's
don't?
just they talk very fast. And you know some people who talk very fast too, I'm sure. It's really amazing.
Yeah, I'll send the links out tomorrow. There's, the
yeah.
Office of Planning and Development has a YouTube channel. And so it's, a lot of them are under the channel, and then there's,
It's the little gear. If you click on that, it's
Oh.
playback speed.
And I'll try to send you an email that says which ones I had seen, which I thought were particularly helpful, but not to say that the other link wasn't good, but you can actually see where when you click on, well, I think when you open up the link, you can click on it and it says slides or presentation. So you can either get the slides or you can get the YouTube presentation.
Which is gonna have the slides.
Which has the slides in it, yeah. So,
there's also a lot of ones on basic, planning board procedures, and, if you're ever interested in looking at more of those, and
Yeah, I've already started.
yeah, in fact, I'm signed up for one this next Thursday, I think.
Yeah, my problem is they're all at noon and I'm always doing stuff.
Yeah,
the nice thing is that they do record them and you can watch them
Yeah.
at your leisure.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah, that works.
yeah, the one on the 18th, they're gonna be talking about parking requirements, butter definitions, regulation of in-house daycare, tools to enact zoning changes and incentivizing housing development. So,
It's broad spectrum.
a lot of good things in there. Oh, and then also significant changes to building and fire codes, which might be kind of interesting to see what they're talking about there.
It's just so I did talk to the state fire marshal's office on the homeowner in Connecticut, getting them going with their building permit through them. And so I had to send in a letter asking if they did, and I haven't heard anything back, so I assume they started the wheels rolling, and I haven't heard back from Lauren. So, and he was pretty odd to get stuff going, so assuming that everything's starting to go on that end,
Yeah,
so.
I did get the sense from talking to folks, I was ballot clerk at the election on Tuesday. People are much more open about tweaking things to allow for, denser housing or barn conversions or things like that. It was very, I mean, I talked to 6 people, so it's anecdata, but you know
Yeah.
what I mean.
sure.
I was encouraged that it was more of a YIMBY rather than a NIMBY.
Yeah. That's one of the talks was YIMBY,
Mhm.
that I was,
I
looking
did
at.
find a housing report from a New Hampshire housing report, and it was covering the years 20, 21, and 22, so a 3-year report. It was a report from last year, so they were covering, and Lyme was net +1 in that time frame.
Oh, yeah.
That plus one.
Net
How-
one house built, one family house
Hmm.
in those 3 years,
Does that make
In
sense?
what years?
20, 21, and 22. Building permits were
Maybe. I don't know.
two building permits were issued and then canceled or lapsed or whatever happens to building permits if they're not acted on. But yeah, there was, in those 3 years, it was net entire all of the different categories, one single family house.
Yeah, well, it says here on David's thing, 2020, there were 6. And 5 were on the common. And
That's
then
great.
2022, there were 3.
And those are permits issued, and so those may,
But somebody can't have, they require the town to report
yes,
building permits that lapse. And in that time, 2 lapsed. 3 were issued and 2 lapsed, so there was one house.
I do that report.
Yeah.
And
In 2023, there were 2 new ones, 2 new dwellings and 1 conversion.
so the conversion wouldn't have been reported because it's in.
Conversion to.
No, the conversion would have been as a
Residence.
new dwelling,
Yeah, it
yes.
says 1 conversion. In 2024, there's 1 new dwelling and 2 conversions. Yeah.
And I don't trust the state stuff because I do the report, I send it in. And 2 weeks later, I get a nasty email saying you didn't report it. Yeah, I sent it, I did the survey, it's all online. It's like I did the survey.
Yeah.
2 weeks ago. And
Hmm.
so I don't have a whole lot of faith in their system.
So, I think we should, continue on this housing forum, discussion planning in terms of the one thing that I'm unclear on is we need to get this letter out, which I've drafted, which I think I see Hebe has.
Yeah,
copy
I thought it was good. I thought it could be,
I don't like the first sentence that I put, if
Yeah.
you're looking at the one that says the planning board is unanimous.
Oh, no, I didn't get that one.
Okay, I added that and it didn't,
doesn't
So-
flow for you?
it didn't flow very well. So I started it out.
I don't know that I have that one.
You may not have, I made this change before our last
This is when you
meeting.
changed this, right?
Yeah, that's it.
I have one of the urgent regional needs is how mine starts.
Okay, yeah, so I think I added a sentence based on one of your comments, Hebe, about us being unanimous in wanting to maintain the characteristics of Lyme. And so that's what I started with, but I don't like the way it reads. I just added the sentence. The planning board is unanimous in wanting to maintain the characteristics of Lyme that residents find so attractive. But then it doesn't, and then I said, however, one of the urgent regional needs, and I keep going on with what we had.
Yeah.
To me, it doesn't really flow very well, what I just said. And it may be just because I'm using the word however.
I see.
I
I think the sentiment is good, though.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think you
Should
should
it
keep
go
that first
towards the
sentence.
end of your paragraph to say, you know, here, we have a need, however, planning board is.
Now, I want to lead with the fact that we don't want people to start off pissed.
yeah,
You know,
Well, it
I
gets
think
their
that-
attention
I
and they'll
just
read
take the
more.
First sentence, period, and then say something.
You could start a new paragraph,
yeah.
because that's the way to separate
But
things that
then,
don't,
then you only have a one sentence paragraph.
that's all right.
Okay.
Do you want to say something about the fact that the planning board has been working on housing needs
Ah,
and then go into however there, or not however, but then say the planning board is unanimous in.
well, we kind of say that, I say that in the third paragraph, as the planning board embarks on this exercise, we would like to share what we have learned and how, and find out from you whether or how we should actively pursue incentivizing housing opportunities.
But maybe you could say after your first sentence, you could say something to the effect. As we all probably agree on, there is a housing shortage in the Upper Valley. And Lyme. You know, needs to do something.
I think that's good.
Second. Yeah, after.
Okay, so that
I
would
think-
make the
I think
second
it's-
sentence of that
I think
paragraph.
that's good because it's also fewer syllables. The words, accommodate, encourage workforce and affordable housing. Those are longer words than they need to be. You can just be more
Yeah,
simply.
as we all probably can agree, there's a housing shortage.
Yeah.
in the Upper
And most people, if you say, what is workforce housing, they'll give you a guess, they don't know what the word really, or what workforce housing means, the technical.
Yeah,
Right.
should we say that? Cause
And
then,
I don't know that we're not just doing workforce housing, we're doing,
Right, well, that's what I'm
All
saying,
housing.
that it's,
yeah,
taking out those specific words that. People may not, that they're gonna put their own spin on what those mean.
yeah. So you're starting to say, as we can all probably agree,
yeah, or as we can all, yeah, as we can all probably agree, there's a shortage of housing in the Upper Valley.
there's a shortage of housing in the Upper Valley. A new paragraph, one of the urgent regional needs. The planning board is considering. Oh, well, at this point, then we can just say the planning board is considering how Lyme might accommodate
Right.
or encourage. Oh,
More housing, right?
more housing, including workforce and affordable housing? Do we want to put that in there?
Could just
I think
use
there's
that
more-
dread word diverse.
Yeah,
I would use diverse again, just because,
A diverse or a variety is. If you're worried about the word diverse, that's getting to be kind of toxic.
yeah, variety might be better
To encourage a variety,
of housing options.
of housing options.
Yep.
And so we eliminate the workforce and affordable housing from that sentence.
plus I think affordable housing, has a very bad.
Section 8,
Yeah, exactly, that people, that's
Yeah.
what people are thinking, not.
Okay, and we know that local employers have difficulty finding staff to fill open positions in all types of jobs. We're within Lyme, we're reminded that our stores, restaurants, businesses, schools, and town offices have vacancies. It's often cited that the lack of housing is an impediment to attracting workers. The planning board is looking at options that might help address the housing crisis.
So how does that second sentence read again? After, no, actually, I guess it's the first. sentence.
One of the urgent regional needs the planning board is considering is how Lyme might accommodate or encourage a variety of housing options.
Regional needs. How about just the planning board is considering how Lyme might participate in this regional problem.
Okay,
solution to this regional problem.
Okay, in solving
Yes, yes,
this regional
Yes.
problem.
yes.
You're
We're already
participating.
participating in the problem.
so we strike however one of the urgent regional needs, and we start with the planning board is considering.
How Lyme might participate in solving this regional problem. Because the prior sentence say that the one Tim suggested,
Yeah,
that we can all probably agree that there is a housing
Yeah.
shortage.
Right.
And that way we don't get Lyme and regional too bollock stuff.
so the planning board is considering how Lyme might participate.
In solving
Solving what?
this
vari-
regional problem.
Yeah, yeah, that's good.
And then, you know, there's a list of several sort of examples or we are reminded. And it is often cited. Because that brings home the workforce issue.
Yeah.
So we never actually have to say affordable or workforce, but
Yeah.
it's all there.
Right.
Okay. So on to the second paragraph, the Upper Valley Lake Sunapee Regional Planning Commission is our regional planning commission. They completed a recent study that suggests the region needs. I don't know what that number is, how many
Well,
houses.
I don't think you should say the region needs. Maybe the town needs.
Well, I don't know if I'd say
But-
needs because.
Cause what.
Fair share goal is the,
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe the fair share goal for Lyme is,
Well, I felt it was important to put the whole region, and then the next sentence says that the RPC has
Oh, I see.
allocated new housing units for Upper Valley towns and figures that Lyme's fair share is 145 new housing units by the year 2020.
oh, well, I'll bet you that number, you want the whole Upper Valley Lake Sunapee region.
Yeah, because it's
That
like
number, I think,
8,000
is
or
like
something.
13,000 or something, it's
Yeah.
some big number.
I mean, that'll certainly get people's attention. I go,
Yeah, I think that-
holy,
You know, it gives a good idea of the scope of the problem.
yeah. It's not just let's build a couple 10-unit buildings
Right.
in the Upper Valley.
But we still don't know how they came up.
Did we, yeah,
Up
some,
with
who
that
was,
number, really.
somebody was gonna figure out or talk to them about their methodology.
Yeah, because we don't know, they just
Rich-
pulled this
Rich
number out
Brown
here.
did, he presented it to us.
Oh, I see, I missed that then.
Yeah, but how did they come up with 145?
Well, that's what the whole reason we're having the RPC come and chat with us.
Yeah,
Is,
but they do describe that in the report. They do describe the methodology.
Okay.
And I still think using the numbers
It's not
in this letter,
Right, and the thing is, they
What's
don't
that?
really look at the towns in depth.
I think using the numbers in this letter, those are the actual numbers from the RPC. Whether they're right, wrong, whether you agree with them,
Exactly.
is immaterial. These are the numbers that the RPC has said. And
Right.
again, talking to them, good thing, but just, I think putting in very large numbers in this, again, based on their report, not exaggerating them, but based on their report, is going to catch people's eyes.
yeah,
And they're gonna say, wow. And see
certainly caught all
145,
of our eyes.
yeah, and seeing 145 new houses, that's going to lead people to want to come and listen, not,
Yeah,
it's gonna get people interested, it's not going to, it's like, oh, we need 6 new houses, no big deal, wow, 145, that's an awful lot of houses in Lyme.
Right,
But it's housing units, it's
but it
important.
is
to say.
over 20 years.
I understand that, but it's still,
Well.
at this
16
point, it's,
years. 16 years, right?
16 years from now, but
I think if we just assume
It's like
the
that.
rate that it implies
Yeah.
and not attempted to reach not attempted to sort of backpedal and catch up.
But it's
That
also,
would be sufficient.
it's
Yeah.
housing units, not single family houses. That's like the key that helps us.
dwelling units,
Dwelling units.
yeah.
Right.
Right.
So I just need to pull that number and I think I can find it from Rich's email
What, for the region?
for the region.
I know it's 10,000 for the state, isn't it?
Let me see, I might be.
I heard that on the radio.
So I guess this does bring up the issue of, so do we get people all excited and then the first presenter that we have is a local person? Or I kind of feel like, geez, this is a good
This is a
introduction
good
to have
introduction,
the
but it's really
RPC.
talking about a policy, right? And Jonah would be talking about specifics.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I almost feel like, geez, we should perhaps have the Regional Planning Commission come here and help us define the problem, and then we can
then go on with.
talk about what
Yeah,
are
I
some of the solutions.
I
I'm
think
fine
that's
with
a
that.
good idea, yeah.
I'm absolutely fine with that,
Especially if
yeah.
we're gonna send this out.
But
Yeah,
how do we get the Regional Planning Commission to come then?
well, Vicky has sent them an email the last meeting. And we don't know whether
We
she's
reach
been,
back to her,
I'll reach back, yeah, I'm gonna reach back to her.
Find out.
right?
Um. So, then we've scheduled our first meeting, in fact, that's what I say, we've scheduled our first meeting with the RPC on whatever date it's gonna be, October. Probably at this point, unless she's,
Whenever they can come, yeah.
if she has gotten them to say we can make it on the 10th. Do we feel like we can have our act together by having a meeting on the 3rd? I should think we could.
Well, the letter would have to go out like a couple of weeks in advance.
Yeah,
And when you say letter going out.
Posted, shared,
Well,
website.
that's not gonna happen. Because I have no money in my budget.
I don't mean physical, I
Oh.
mean posted on the website,
Okay,
posted to the
when you said
listener.
posted, I'm thinking.
I'm sorry, yeah,
Cause the select board gutted my budget this year. And took out any
Yeah.
extra I had for,
I've managed to leave my British roots enough so that posting is no longer physical mail.
So, yeah, and speaking of that, what are our ways of communicating? We're gonna,
Put it on the
Put on the
website,
website.
send it, probably put a copy, send it out on listserv is, we can't do it as an attachment, but as the body of a message on
Yes.
listserv, and then,
Bulletin board in,
and then you've got a bulletin
Bulletin
board
board
here,
here
and
and
do we have
post
like
office.
5 places that things get posted? in
we can
town?
choose that, we can post stuff at, the hardware store entrance.
right,
There's a bulletin board there, and we have the one here,
Okay,
might do something with the library.
and, yeah, we can,
in the
the
library.
library has a bulletin board, we can throw stuff up on.
We tell,
So that target is 5,671 new homes for the Upper Valley, Lake Sunapee region.
new homes or housing units.
That's what it says, new homes. This is in the executive summary.
Yeah, I wonder if
Third
that,
paragraph, fourth paragraph.
I wonder if that probably means housing units rather than
The
single.
UVLS region this is talking about to inform local planning in accordance with the New Hampshire Workforce Housing Law, RSA, blah, blah, blah. The RHNA includes fair share targets out to 2040. The UVLS region is identified to have a fair share housing need target of 5,671 new homes. So it's a housing target of new homes, and a home can be an apartment.
Oh, good.
And they should have said
ADU.
housing units. They didn't do that, right? But
So at the municipal level, targets range from 26 to 1,249. I wish we were at the 26. In the Upper Valley Lake Sunapee region, according to New Hampshire Office of Planning and Development, OPD data, and net 6,656 building permits were pulled over the last 2 decades.
Is that a link you could share, Nat? Or is it something you've done?
This is the report. This is, and it's not a link. It's
Okay.
a,
You downloaded it from
it is
someplace.
the regional housing needs assessment. I downloaded it. And I knew it would probably state that number. So it's not quite as high as I thought it was. Only 5,671.
What year is it dated? Is it
It's
2024?
it's a target out to 2040.
I'm sorry, what's the date of the report?
I think it was 2022 finally. They started earlier than that, but let's see if, 2023 is the date on the report.
I think I've downloaded this at one point. I just probably.
If
lost
you
it.
look, Rich Brown sent an email just to me on June 10th. Oh, yeah, sent it to me and David, and then David forwarded it on, but I don't have that. I didn't print out that, so it must be around the 10th.
but one
but-
from the 12th.
Yeah, it probably is.
July,
This is what it's saying.
So remember, there's 2 different reports out there. One is Keys to the Valley. And the other is the Upper Connecticut, or the Upper Valley Lakes.
Where's this from? That's from Rich.
Yeah.
You will have an
That's
email
slightly
from me
different.
that has a link to,
great. Thank you very much.
and there's a link to the,
That's it.
It's one from the
needs assessment
17th.
here, and then the Keys to the Valley one.
This one,
Super. I'll go through that. Thank you very much.
oh, that's different. That's just the goals. You said. Not. You want some goals.
Well, I guess when I reach out to Rich, I will also ask him if he comes up with that same number, 5,671.
That was probably.
But it's interesting to note, Rich, when he looked at it, he says, the projected population also includes a factor to bring the vacancy rate up to 5% for rental units. So that there'll be actually
Yeah.
and 2% for ownership units. So that will actually provide a surplus of housing, if you will.
Or just to bring the
Which-
price down, yeah. Just to
Yeah.
bring the price down.
Yeah,
Which means, well, we're never gonna get there anyways, but I think that was their way of, let's make the number high so that when we don't attain it, we'll still be able to survive somehow.
some slack.
Yeah,
Yeah,
gives them a little wiggle room.
but Rich, I was just gonna say on this, on the letter you're sending out,
Uh-huh,
the very last part where we
Yep.
say. So we can work together in addressing the community, as a community, the issue of affordable, should we
Oh.
take out affordable?
Yeah,
oh, yeah,
Okay.
as a community issue of housing.
Yeah.
Please public knowledge so we can work together and listen. How about if we, that's kind of awkward the way I heard it. How about, so we can work together?
We could take out in address, just work together as a community. To address.
Which help solve this issue.
Yeah, to address the issue of
Or-
housing.
Work together in addressing housing. I mean, I guess it's fine the way it is. So we won't,
Yeah, I mean, I think it's clear enough.
okay.
Um,
Is there anything else on the forum discussion and the master plan housing chapter? I'm not sure I really have anything to add on that at this point. I feel like Vicky's helping us drive that.
Yeah,
Um,
Well, this is part and parcel of driving that. what we're
Yeah.
doing.
right,
collecting input.
I mean, we're trying to foster community engagement
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah,
in order to survey it. And then come away with something written that represents it.
yeah, then we're gonna have to
Right.
come up with a survey at some point, which will be interesting.
Yeah, which we have started, and several people have provided some
Right,
Basic questions.
some basic questions.
Yeah.
One thing that I'm struggling with is, on the one hand, we want to try to keep it simple, stupid and try to do something on a page, and
Yeah, but it's
I don't know that we
but the
can do
problem is
that.
very nuanced.
yeah, I
Yeah,
think the problem we had with the solar questionnaire was we didn't give enough information. So people answered, but they really didn't know enough to really do a good answer.
But
So I think we have to explain something, in the
Well, I think
questions.
if you have these forums and then start asking questions, at least. You'll get some information out to whoever's interested in coming, you still get
yeah,
people who are uninformed replying, but at least you'll have. Some folks who have.
yeah. I mean, I guess it depends how inflammatory it gets on the listserv.
well,
Don't put a guardrail on it.
What's that?
Don't put a guardrail up.
Oh. Yeah.
well, I mean, it would be nice to get some general questions answered. Because you can always drill down
Yeah.
on the specifics,
Mhm.
whether it should be for elderly or for workforce or for poor people. But first you gotta get by, is anybody gonna vote for anything that is going to increase housing here?
Can,
And I think that's what we
At the
need,
current
we
rate.
need to get by that.
Right.
And then once we get by that, then we can talk about a lot of different things. if we do, but if we don't, then
Would,
then you
Yeah.
can fairly ask yourself, what's the point?
I've been worrying
Yeah.
about this too, because it is, every time I get into it, after a while, my eyes turn into pinwheels and I just like,
Yeah,
there's so much
it
to
hurts
it.
the brain.
And, but I've been thinking, you know, how do you teach people? And some methods of teaching are like case studies. So if we could produce like 4 or 5 scenarios and then ask, you know, just short descriptions of a situation and then 4 or 5 questions after each one to gauge the response to how about if, you know, like just for example, John Bigelow's barn was turned into 5 apartments.
Mhm.
Would you like, you know, I don't know what the questions are, but you know, a very specific scenario. You know, if the property near the parsonage in the common district became a series of, you know, tastefully done condominiums, blah,
I
blah, blah,
would-
blah.
Just caution against, even hinting at specific properties.
No, I know, I'm just trying to be
Yeah,
specific so
right.
that we can understand.
Yeah, we could just say in the Lyme Common District.
Yeah.
Do you feel that we should have?
Yeah,
Info?
Right, and you know, would you consider a zoning district that allowed for some cluster housing, which Tim a few years ago had talked about as a potential solution, you know,
mhm,
allow that in some areas of the rural district, you know,
yeah,
just because if you give people specific scenarios that encompass the principles of policy that you're interested in, then it's a lot more straightforward and you're not
yeah.
spending all of your time trying to come up with language that explains all the different hooty-has.
It's a good point.
Yeah. Well, it's hard, because at some point you have to get into specifics of Lyme. You know, I think that's what the RPC probably didn't do in each town. You know, they didn't really, so these numbers they throw out, it isn't, we're not gonna have 145 new units by 2040 in Lyme. There's just no way. I mean, it's not gonna happen. So anyway, because land is too expensive and it's, you know.
Well, but you know, if you drive around town, you can think of 5 or 6 barns right now that would benefit from being built, you know, maintained and give, you know,
Yeah,
some accommodations
Yeah.
and money for their owners. And, you know, keep them from falling in.
I
Yeah,
mean,
if
I
you
kind
find
of
a
struggle
contractor
with
to
the
do
whole
it.
thing of 6 units being the maximum. I mean, even John's barn would
Well, with, you know,
probably take,
the Tuller's
10 or
yellow
12.
barn.
I mean,
imagine
my
that.
God,
Yeah,
that
well,
would,
people have tried,
that would be 30 or
To get
50
that.
or something.
that's, yeah, that's not gonna, not as long as the Tullers are alive, it's not gonna happen. Maybe down the road after Wayne and Shirley aren't around.
But you're being too specifically negative because you have
Well, just 'cause I
knowledge.
know about that barn.
But
Yeah,
I'm
so
saying in general,
Yeah,
you know,
Yeah.
think about, I mean, there's who is it? The lady who was the illustrator who lives at the bottom of Breck Hill,
Oh, Trina Hine.
Trina, her barn's falling down, imagine. What,
Yeah, we could do an ADU there, you know,
or,
that, yeah,
Or you have,
or a couple of condos.
um,
yeah.
I'm trying to think of, that does the woodblock woodcuts,
oh, Matt Brown.
Matt Brown's mother, she's got a big barn
Mm-hmm,
right on Route 10.
yeah,
Yeah, no, I think it's great if you could find the contractor to do it. You know,
Or
they
he,
think they can make money.
Talk to, Cook with an E. Jennifer, she's got a beautiful big barn.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that would.
I don't
Anyway,
think so
yeah.
either, but, yeah, that.
Yeah.
I mean,
But I
yeah,
mean, the
it's,
barns are around,
yeah,
you know,
it's
there
a
are.
question of really, the economics. I mean,
See, that's
and
the
people
problem
told
with
me we
that.
should have torn our house down when we renovated
Are
it.
you kidding?
Who did?
That classic
Who
Cape?
said that?
Yeah,
Good
in fact, the
Lord.
appraiser told us, the appraisal company told us we should tear it down.
You know, they have no concept of
Oh,
old
my
houses.
God.
I said, I'm not doing that. I grew up in that house. It's not going down.
Of course not. Well, the other problem with doing a barn is that knowing something about construction. it's often cheaper, if you have just a big barn, it's often cheaper to start from scratch. It costs more money to try to convert that
Right.
barn than it does to just start from scratch. And that's usually the case. And that's why a lot of the historic houses get torn down, because the people come to a contractor that has no interest in historic buildings, and they say, oh, it's gonna cost you way more money to restore this house, let's just tear it down, it'll be cheaper, we'll start with new. And, that's what they do.
People have no soul.
Yeah, but that's what happens,
I know.
because contractors don't.
Well, in Etna, the Stores house, right along.
Or the
Big
Etna
Brook.
store? The Etna? store?
No, he was the founder of the Dartmouth bookstore.
Oh, the Mink Brook Farm place? with
Yeah,
the-
right across from Mink Brook. How they're even building that.
Oh, my God, in the
2 feet
water,
from the brook.
watershed, I'm like, geez, of people.
They tore that addition down and they're gonna build new next to it.
Well, I mean, the Etna store couldn't do what they wanted to do because they were in the
On the brook.
footprint of the brook. It's crazy. But yeah, I'm just saying,
Yeah,
at the moment, people can't even consider it.
Yeah.
Which is gonna guarantee it doesn't happen.
Because of the 5-year thing.
All of the restrictions on, it's not just the 5-year, has to have,
In the barn, yeah.
it has to have like, parking and lights and.
Well,
So this is the,
you gotta have parking.
And one of the things that you're also,
this is the table.
Yeah.
It has the Lyme requirement as well as all the other towns. If you go down to the bottom, you get the 56.
the 5671.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
you also have to take into account the cost of, the building codes. When you go from.
Yeah.
3 to 4 apartments in a building.
Yeah.
You have to sprinkle the building.
Yeah,
And
Yeah.
so, it's great to say, oh, you can build up to 6. But economically, the cost of those 6 become very high,
Right.
and
See,
then,
Jonah and Fairleigh there, he figured that he had to have 8 to make it worthwhile. And in Fairleigh, you can't build higher than 43, whatever. So that's why that building is so god awful. One of the reasons is because it's a flat roof, because he had to go 3 stories and he couldn't have a regular roof on it. Because he couldn't go higher.
I mean, there's other things that can be done. I mean, tax incentives to preserve existing structures and.
See, the other thing is, you guys probably know, but Ray got caught, and unfortunately, with his project over there, he didn't do his homework before he bought it.
You had to put a new
And he-
foundation in.
Well, what happened was, if you have more than 2 units.
Yeah.
In an old building, you have to meet all these specifications. One, your ceiling heights have to be at least 8 feet. You have to attach the walls to the foundation. And all this stuff, and he
So
couldn't
these
do
are
it.
state building codes.
Yeah, and so he couldn't do
National,
that.
yeah.
Then they were telling him that he had to change the rafters. Well, they'd only been there for 220 years and gone through the hurricane of 38. But no, those rafters were no good. So it's ridiculous. So that's why he had to tear down the L. So he could put 2 units in the front of the house, and then he had to build that new building in the back, which was 30 feet away. I mean, he should have figured that out before he did it, but anyway.
But it was also true that everybody was a bit shocked about how few units you could put in, even under the senior housing.
Well, but he couldn't have done any more, you mean unless he built more buildings? Well, he was gonna do 2 more, 2 more, right, David?
yeah, you want it,
He was gonna come back and do 2 more, but then he decided he wasn't going to, but he could have done 2 more.
Well, I just
back.
remember Vicky saying that she was surprised at how.
Well, but he could only put 2 in the front, the front building, the old building, and then I guess he could have built a bigger building in the back, I don't know. Anyway, but that was just unfortunate, because it just shows how difficult it is to convert.
Yeah.
Historic or older houses.
I know,
It's stupid,
I know, but at the moment, you can't even try.
yeah. Well, Ray could have done more though, I mean, he could have done more than 5.
but I say, even if you look at the conversion of an older building now. You got one, if there's no sewer and services, you got 1 housing unit, that's it.
Right. Unless you wait 5 years, yeah.
Right.
Right,
But isn't Isn't he converting the barn as well?
Yeah, so he'll have 5 units there total.
But that's in a single building, so he's got 3 buildings, so
Yeah,
Well, how many units is he putting in the barn?
one,
Oh,
for himself, I think.
oh,
Yeah,
okay,
that's the plan, yeah. So he has a total of 5.
Yeah.
On the property, yeah.
so I like this letter.
Okay, I'll tweak it again.
And then we'll wait
We
to
can-
get from the RPC, you'll
Yeah,
reach out to Vicky, so we'll know more.
Yep.
You'll ask Jonah if he's willing to come. And, you know, if he's willing, if the
So do we-
RPC, if the RPC agrees to come sooner.
Well, he said he could come either the 10th or the 24th.
But
so-
if we can't get the I think it is right that we should have the RPC first.
Yeah.
So maybe I should wait. Should I wait with?
And I think we
know what
should-
date it is?
I think we should just have the RPC, nobody else
Yes,
that
I
night.
agree, I agree.
And-
I think you should get back to him and tell him what we're thinking. And ask him if he'd come in person.
Right, right.
I don't
Well,
wanna.
I hope I assumed he was planning on coming in.
But don't, I wouldn't leave him
Let's-
hanging after he
Yeah.
said he could come.
So what if he says he doesn't wanna come? I'll tell him he doesn't have a choice. No, but what if he
so
said,
if not, I mean, we can accommodate him on Zoom.
Yeah,
well, I'll try to convince him but I'm just assuming, because he asked about. Did we have Zoom? I thought he meant maybe for other people
Yeah.
that he knew that could see it.
Right.
I'm hoping that's what he meant.
Yeah.
But,
And tell him that we're enthusiastic about having him coming, but it might not be the 10th, the 24th, if we can get the RPC to come.
Right.
I mean, that's essentially the process.
okay,
and so,
but then
yeah,
we don't,
then you could ask him whether he's available on the 14th of November.
okay. Okay,
Assuming we can get the RPC.
Yeah. So I will get an email out to Vicky tomorrow.
Super. Good.
Well, actually, well, last time I tried calling her, she wasn't
These
responding.
people don't answer their
phone's
phones.
had it going here.
Well,
Good.
that's why we work hard so we can retire and go play.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody.
The millennials actually want the lifestyle of retired people. That's what they're requesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't wanna work.
I've always thought that you should start out with a huge loan, you know, like $500,000. You just get that and then you spend it and then you work
To pay it off.
to pay it off when you're, you know, in your 30s or 40s.
Yeah, it's like farming. You start with $1 million and keep farming till it's all gone.
That's right. You're right.
Same.
What's up with